You won't believe these relationship stories. Let's start. Story 1. Found torn condom wrapper in bed. Not sure what to make of it. Found torn condom wrapper in bed. Not sure what to make of it. I, 44F, found a torn piece of a condom wrapper when getting into bed last night with my husband, 41M. It was the top of a wrapper. We have not been intimate in, well, a while. We have our other issues. I have no reason to believe he would be cheating, since that is just not his nature, and he has never cheated on anyone in the past. On top of that, I just can't imagine either of us has the time to cheat even if we wanted to, because we have 2 young kids and run a business together. I am trying to think of innocent reasons for it, but the only 2 I can come up with, I am just not sure make sense. 1. Making balloons in bed, or 2. Maybe using it to masturbate and not have a mess in bed. The same pack of 4 to 6 condoms that were in his drawer forever are now down to 2, and the wrapper I found in bed was one of those, I am pretty sure. I am mostly curious if that is even a thing. Guys use condoms to masturbate and not have as much of a mess after. He tends to do that in the shower for that reason. The only other explanations are obvious, and I can accept that if that is the case. Not sure how to approach this without coming across like I do not trust him, since I have always trusted him and still do. Also, it only kinda sorta bothered me finding it. We are definitely in a marital slump / dealing with the hardest times in our marriage so far. We have been together 10 years. Story 226F, aborted baby without telling boyfriend 28M. I got pregnant 1 month into knowing my boyfriend. I took abortion pills at week 11. Nice. I told him I miscarried, but he knew something was off, and I ended up telling him the truth. Some context. We've only known him for a month before I got pregnant. He's an amazing guy and would be an amazing dad, but I just think it was too soon. He was very excited, and I had an opposite reaction finding out. I was on the fence about it for a while because he would convince me to keep it if we talked about it. Like one time, I expressed my concerns about not wanting to keep it, and he got upset at the reasons why I didn't want to keep it. I should have been more clear for my reasons, but I gave reasons like, I'm going to Japan and want to enjoy that vacation with my family and eat sushi, have some cocktails. But I did also mention I don't think it was the right time either and that we could wait a year. He was invalidating to my feelings, and the next day said if you abort it, we aren't going to work out as a couple, which scared me from talking to him about this topic again. I had off and on feelings. I bought the pills when I found out, and they expired within a week or 2 of me having them. And then I got a call from my cousin on a Sunday, and she was expressing her concerns of why maybe it's not a good idea. I was upset that she wasn't supportive, but also she had valid points, and I was already having those thoughts in my head. There were some days where I was all in, and some days I just didn't think I could do it. On Monday, I ordered the pills again and took them on Friday, and the abortion was completed on Saturday. I agree, I shouldn't have lied to him, but I felt really stuck because if I brought it up again, he would convince me not to abort it and would get upset again. That's why I didn't feel like I could tell him. He's very hurt about the situation, and I can obviously see why, but we both want to make it work. It's just hard because he keeps thinking about it and believes he won't get over it. We're going to do couples counseling, but if I had the baby, I feel like I would have ended up resenting him for pushing me to keep it. How can we make this work long term? If you say it won't work out, don't comment, please. I'm going through postpartum depression and don't want to hear that. Edit. I told him I wanted to experience Japan and eat sushi / drink there, and he told me that was a selfish reason to abort. That wasn't the only reason. My parents paid $6K for the flight alone for Japan for this family vacation, and he called me selfish. He told me to walk the walk now and carry on as I'm pregnant, to prove that that wasn't the reason why I aborted the baby. So that includes no sushi, drinking, or trip to Japan. IDK, if he was serious though. I just told him I need to have some wine because I've been crying / hyperventilating for a while, and he said he understands and to do what I gotta do. Story 3. Me, 44F, and my husband, 40M, have been married for 14 years. 6 days ago, my world fell apart. My husband admitted to me that he thinks he's a sex addict and needs help. I always knew he had an extreme sex drive, always talking about sex, watching a lot of porn, and complaining that we don't have enough sex. For me, once a week is about all I can manage. We have 3 kids, demanding careers, busy lives, etc. When I probed him further, he told me he jerks off to porn 2 to 3 times per day, he's constantly horny, sex is all he thinks about, and then he hit me with a bombshell. He's been having web sex with multiple strangers on sex cam sites for years. I was floored. I threw him out, and now I don't know what to do. We are communicating only through my sister, and he says he went to the GP and got a psych referral. But over the past few days, He's changed his narrative. He's now downplaying his actions and shifting blame onto me. He's staying with his mother, and I suspect she's influencing him, as I don't think she wants to believe he has an addiction. He now says he did it out of frustration and loneliness because we don't have enough sex. I'm struggling to make sense of this. How do I separate the reality of his addiction from his justifications? What steps should I take to protect myself emotionally while he decides whether or not to get real help? Story 4. Is my friend using me? I'm a grad student, 23 FTM. I have a friend, P, 24F, who's in the same grad program, and we've taken almost all our courses together through our time at this university, so we've been friends for about 1.5 years now. We study together and help each other with difficult assignments, and we also go to the gym together. The university is in a pretty high crime area, and I have a car while P doesn't. P lives just a couple blocks from me, approximately 4 minutes drive, so I usually pick her up and drop her off when going to and from campus. We also take evening classes, so it's safer for her to get a ride back to her place than to walk or Uber. A few times, she's needed a ride to the airport, approximately 25 minutes drive, when flying out of state. P always pays me for gas for the longer drives, and I don't mind driving her at all. I also have a hybrid car that I've been hypermiling, so I'm really not spending much on gas. Despite this, my parents, 57F and 58M, are convinced that P is using me and I need to stop being her chauffeur and let her take an Uber. The issue is, I literally do? If she needs a ride and I have a conflicting commitment or it's too late, I just let her know and she takes an Uber. I declined a call from my mom today because I was about to drive P to the airport and my mom blew up my phone, ordering me to send back the gas money P sent me and tell her to take an Uber instead. I told her I would not do so, so she stopped talking to me. My partner, 25M, has also expressed concern about P potentially taking advantage of my kindness in the past, but he understood when I explained the safety concerns and the convenience aspect. I'm wondering if I'm being dumb and P really is using me, or if my parents are being unreasonable. They have a history of being extremely controlling and overprotective, but I also have had experiences with friends taking advantage of my willingness to help them out. Thoughts? 5. My BF, 26, lied to me about being with his wife and cheating on her. I'm going to make a long story short. My BF and I started dating in August. He told me his wife followed him to the state his career sent him to, but they were separated, and that basically she was just very reliant on him financially and whatever. I do some digging, as most women do on said ex-wife. My BF doesn't have social media, but she sure does. There were so many photos of them together during the time frame he said they weren't together that painted a picture that they were very much together. He denied it. He went the distance to make sure I believed these lies. Flash forward. I am helping him move and his divorce has been final for months, but at this point, I am distant and quiet around him because it all just seems so shady. Finally, he admits to me that they were indeed together and that he had cheated on her with a girl from work, which absolutely blindsided his wife at the time. He also told me that after his wife found out he was cheating, he would just stay over at the affair's house, and that after he admitted to his wife where he had been staying at, she tried to fix things, and honestly, it was so heartbreaking to hear what this poor girl went through. He told me he lied so that I wouldn't view him differently. I find it hard to believe that. I feel that he just wanted to get away with doing something absolutely cruel and feels mega remorse. I don't think he really cared how it hurt me to know that he lied. I guess my question is, if I really truly do love my boyfriend and he is great, other than this whole lie and the lying about cheating, would it be the right choice to leave him? Help, please. Story 6. Should I marry my partner of 7.5 years after I feel his new job changed him? I, 35YF, have been with my partner, 39YM, for 7.5 years. We had been going strong for the first 5 years, with us being very affectionate, attentive, and loving toward another. Very honeymoon phase, if you will, for 5 years. Harry. I have 1 child, and he has 4, so we are a combined family and own a house together. We got engaged in 2021 and bought a house in 2022, so we hadn't started to plan a wedding just yet, due to purchase of the house. When the cost of living went up and our mortgage went up, my hubby had no choice but to take a job 2.5 hours away. It pays really well, and the shift is 7 on 7 off. When he first started the job, it was really exciting to see each other after some time apart. Mind you, for the years leading up, we were always together, so this was new for us. It was hard but also exciting, and helped us miss each other. 6+ months pass, and I start to notice a change in him. The change I started to see was in spring 2023. I got us into counseling because I felt he was distant, not excited to see me, and really just didn't care to be around me. At this time, he was also picking up shifts, so he was barely home, and that's when the ball started to roll. And the time he was home, it was like pulling tooth and nail to have one-to-one time with him, and expressing to him how important one-to-one was because of his work schedule. But if I didn't plan it, it wouldn't happen, and sometimes when I did plan it, and he agreed, it still wouldn't happen. His time on his phone doom scrolling started to increase, to the point I feel invisible. I often thought if it wasn't for seeing his kids, he would never come home. He was making feel unneeded, like it didn't matter if he saw me or not. And one time in counseling he said, "It's just different for me. I can see you for an hour, and that's all I need." Whereas I'm needing way more than an hour of his time when he's home. I started to feel like asking the bare minimum was too much for him. I felt like maybe I was being clingy or needy. My therapist keeps reminding me I am not being those things. I am just wanting to be loved by the man I am supposed to be marrying. Anytime I bring up these issues, he says there is nothing wrong, that sometimes I do this to start a fight. So now I feel I can't tell him anything or I am starting a fight. When we go to therapy, he says everything is great, and work is good, he is good, everything is good. So why do I feel like this? 1. Not having enough one-to-one time. 2. Feeling ignored. 3. Basically feeling the love is one-sided. 4. Feeling he is content with life and may not need me. Side note, sometimes after saying everything is fine, there's no issues, he pulls out some off-brand shit he's never mentioned to me before in counseling. For example, randomly he says, "Well, sometimes I think you might be cheating on me, and the way you dress to go out for the night is to attract male attention." Never in our relationship has he ever mentioned anything wrong with my clothes. That all being said, currently he is putting deposits down on our wedding venues, caterers, etc. For this fall, I don't know what to do, as I have all these doubts and feeling about how he has acted the past 2 years. Mind you, it's not all the time, it is very inconsistent, like a roller coaster. We are up, and then we are down. He is himself, the man I know and love, and then this other version. I don't know what to do, he says, is perfectly content, and I can be at times, but not all the time. I think the time apart gets to me more than him. I can't shake these feelings and thoughts. I used to be able to just talk to him, now I feel I can't. I feel I am losing the man I love. Or is this just what 7.5 years does to a couple? Or is it the job? I don't know what to do. We used to be solid. He says he wants to be married, but I honestly don't know why. Am I overthinking this? Story 7. Just broke his heart. Me, 39F, dating A, 35M, for 1.5 years. He is such a great guy. Intimacy was great in beginning but slowly dwindled, and just not great for months now. I was faking being happy. He was content with how things were now. And we were more like best friends, and our compatibility was lacking in more ways than one. This literally just happened tonight. Now, I just feel like I suck at life and relationships. Like, why couldn't this work? He is perfect in every other way. I'm so sad and bummed. My family loves him, my friends love him, but we both have been lying to ourselves that this is a relationship. I'm 39, and I have to start over. Just so sad. And he has to start over, and I hurt him royally. Broke his heart. Story 8. IDK if I'm unhappy with my relationship or unhappy with myself. I, 18F, have been with my boyfriend, 20M, for almost 3 years now. I currently am in a place where I don't know if I'm being unreasonable or not for contemplating ending things with him. For starters, I know I have my faults where I can be quite a pain or can be unpredictable when it comes to my feelings. But I really am working on it. But basically, my BF has been wanting me to do all these things when I feel as though he can't even do the bare minimum for me. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a good person, and he's great with my family and has good intentions. But I feel like he has issues he's too emotionally unintelligent to realize. For example, lately he's been really wanting me to dress completely modestly, to which I understand considering his culture and religious roots. He grew up Muslim, I grew up being non-religious at all. However, I can understand not wanting my chest or butt out, but to him tank tops, shorts, dresses, or anything backless is considered SLXTTY. And I try and tell him it's not that big of a deal and not everyone thinks the way he does, but he just tells me every man thinks like this, and if they say they don't, it's because they either don't care about their girls or are too PXSSY to say anything. Not only that, but he never plans dates, always wants to sit home and lay in bed all day, is hardly romantic at all, never on time, never ever opens up, doesn't want to talk ever. He's a good listener, but even then, because I talk so much, I feel like I hardly know him. Doesn't know how to be vulnerable. I can't travel with my friends. I can't hang out with guys. That I understand. One time I got yelled at for taking a free drink from a guy barista because me and my friend were a few dollars short, and he just said we could have it for free. I just feel so stuck, and I also have trust issues to the point where I don't know if he's really trying to protect me from certain things, or if it's to control me. He says he has my best interest at heart, but I don't know anymore. I'm just confused. This isn't to say he's a bad person. He spoils me like no tomorrow, and knows everything about me, and when it comes down to it has never judged me, nor my family, and stays by my side through a lot. TBH, in reality, I think we would have been really good friends had we never gotten involved romantically. I can't tell if I have valid reason to be upset about these things, or I'm just upset because everyone's telling me to be. Story 9. Hurt by my GF's friendship with men. Emotional cheating? I, 33M, have been seeing a girl, 33F, for the last 7 years. 5-year long distance and 2 together, now LD again. We understand each other well. Or, at least I think so. Most things in life work well for us, like interests, hobbies, perspective on family, food, politics, etc. Slowly and steadily, I have become completely emotionally dependent on her. In a good way, I think. 3 to 4 years ago, when we were LD across different countries, she got close to a colleague who was a couple of years younger than her. I accidentally found out while browsing her laptop and then checked her phone. They were texting daily for years, and the boy confessed his feelings to her, that he loved her, multiple times, but in a non-romantic, obfuscated kind of way, most likely knowing that she has a BF. They went on 2 trips together with a small group of friends, which I didn't know at the time. The pictures show her hugging him, blowing kisses in public with other colleagues present. It was a shock to me, and I was devastated. When I confronted her, she said that it was non-sexual, and he was just a close friend. The facts make me believe the non-sexual part. She also said that she treated him like a brother. To her credit, she recognized my feelings and cut him off when she moved in with me 3 years ago. She still doesn't think it was anything wrong because you need close friends to survive and rely on when alone. I also agree with this part but disagree with having deep friendships with the other gender. That guy recently got married and invited her to his wedding. She declined the invitation and didn't go fearing I would be upset. She took this decision on her own, and I got to know about it only recently. I liked that about her. In my mind, this whole situation was emotional or soft cheating, but I have forgiven her. This is in the past, and I have moved on from this. Late last year, 2024, she had to move to another city, different state, 9-hour drive from my place, for a job. She has made multiple close friends again in a few months. She seems close to a few male friends, and one in particular. She can't leave her job because it's a good job and what she needs. Over the next few months, I am fearing the worst again and a repeat of something similar that happened 3 to 4 years ago. We had a fight because of this, but it didn't escalate too much. We were at a stage where we were discussing future planning, wedding planning for next year, where or if to buy a house, which city to settle in for the long run, etc. I feel completely alone, kind of disrespected, and can't understand why start these things again? Why complicate the relationship, and why hurt my feelings? I don't know what to do. What should I do next? Story 10. Moving on? Sorta, but feeling guilty. Me, F25, and my ex, M30, officially broke up a while ago. We were together for about a year, but broke up because I moved away. But every time I'm in town, we get back together, and it's amazing. And we go on trips, and it's incredible. The only issue we've really ever had is the distance, and that's what ended our relationship. But lately, it has been the longest time without him, and when we first ended our relationship, I thought it was the end, and we wouldn't ever get back together, because I moved across the country. So I dated someone for a short while, and he did too, but we both have managed to look past it. As of recently, things got much better between us, and we have this shitty arrangement, which writing this I realize how it sounds. But when we are in the same place, we're together, and when we're apart, we aren't together, but aren't dating other people either. So dumb, but it's been working somehow, and we see each other usually every month for at least a weekend, if not for longer. I still love him and want to be with him, and I might move back eventually. For a variety of factors, my old job is still there, and all my family and friends, not just him. However, I met someone recently while out drinking, and he slept over. Honest to God, we did not do anything, not even kiss. But now this new guy, M26, wants to continue seeing me, and because I've been so horribly lonely and missing my ex, I can't help but want to spend time with someone literally because I'm so lonely. But at the same time, I feel sick to my stomach even thinking about being with anyone but my ex. I don't know what to do. Advice? Story 11. Does my partner genuinely care about me? F20M20. I'm really confused and just need another perspective on our relationship. I hope you all can help me out. This guy. I met this guy last year, and he was different from the ones I had dated before. He was funny, caring, open, everything I could ask for. I told myself that maybe he would be the one I could truly trust. But as time went by, I started questioning those things. We argue and have misunderstandings, mostly about communication, which is the biggest challenge in our long-distance relationship. Last night, we had a big argument. I told him again that I had been feeling disconnected lately because we don't really go on dates anymore. We just hang out in the evening and talk about how our day went. It started when I told him on Monday morning that I felt bad last Saturday because he slept during the day and woke up in the afternoon. Then, he told me he was going out with his friends. I was okay with it since he has school on weekdays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so L understood that he also needed time to have fun and take breaks. He kept me updated and told me they were going to grab drinks and hang out. After a few hours, he asked if I was asleep. I replied after a few minutes since I had just seen the notification. I waited for him, thinking he was going to call, but he never replied fast enough, and I ended up falling asleep while waiting. He finally replied and called me 3 hours after his last message, but by then, I was already asleep. So the next day, Sunday, I expected him to wake her after lunch and call me, or at least check in, but that never happened. Instead, he woke up for a bit at night, went back to sleep, and didn't fully wake up until 3 a.m. on Monday. I felt really bad on Monday, not because he went out with his friends, but because he never made enough time for me. Do you all get what I mean? I wanted him to plan time for us, not just talk to me whenever it was convenient or when he happened to be free. It's really hard for me since we're in a long-distance relationship. We can't just see each other whenever we want. I'm totally fine with alternatives, but there weren't any. It's not that I'm ungrateful or demanding, but spending intentional time together is a real need in this kind of situation. It's frustrating to have to keep asking for something that feels like the bare minimum. Then it hit me, had just brought this up recently, I think last week, telling him how I was feeling disconnected. But now, I really don't think he took it to heart. That night, we finally talked about it since he had been in class all day from 7 a.m. During our call, he said, "What words do you want to hear from me?" I was furious because I had been waiting all day to hear something reassuring from him, yet he still didn't seem to get it. Then he told me he would just send me a message because he didn't know what to say. That made me even angrier. How could he not find the words to say to me, even when I was crying while venting my emotions? From there, we started arguing. I told him that this was a big issue and we needed to talk about it. I couldn't sleep peacefully knowing we hadn't had a proper conversation about the situation. I asked him if he was just trying to escape or if he genuinely didn't know what to say, and he replied, "Both." He said it was tiring and that it felt like the same thing over and over again. Then he asked me, "Aren't you tired of scolding?" Which was the last thing I ever expected him to say. He wasn't like this before. He used to insist that we fix things and wouldn't let me go to sleep feeling uncomfortable because of an unresolved argument. Was I wrong for asking? I just wanted him to be better and put in more effort because I feel like I'm hanging by a thread. I crave something deeper, but I don't think he understands. He sees it as an attack or criticism. I just wanted him to take the lead because I'm tired of being the one who takes charge in every relationship I've had. The thought of being unheard and unseen is draining me. He says he loves and cares about me, but if that's true, why does he react this way? Am I wrong for being so expressive? Am I being selfish? Plus, we've only been dating for 5 months. He's supposed to be pursuing me, but I don't see that effort every day. I don't even feel like a priority on weekends. I feel like he only needs me when it's convenient for him. I'm so confused and unhappy with him whenever he does this. I love him so much, and I can't think clearly on what to do next. I considered his past, family problems, for acting and behaving this way, but I know it should never be used as an excuse because we have responsibilities as grown-ups. If he can't acknowledge himself, how much more other people, especially me, as his partner? Story 12. I, M25, want grow and be better for my next partner instead of how I treated my F20 girlfriend. There's a lot to unpack here, but I'll try to be brief and answer comments. I started dating this girl almost exactly 1 year ago. We met at work and hit it off extremely well as friends. We never thought we'd end up together. Soon after we met, I started to see her as a bit more than a friend, but it was awkward for many reasons. One big reason why she hesitated about dating me is that I am not a Christian. I am closer to agnostic than anything. She is a devout Christian and told me she absolutely plans to marry one as well someday, and it would be very unlikely for her to change her mind. She also thought while we were great as friends, we are two very different people who want different things in life. Fast forward a week or two after this conversation and we agreed that if we tried dating, it would most likely be temporary. Things were fine for a while. until I started getting angry with her at work. I was basically bullying her because while she was also really good at her job and everyone liked her, she also had an almost smug sense of not really being attached to anyone there or caring about it at all. She would work hard while simultaneously acting like she didn't care if the place burned to the ground. I realize now I was jealous of the positive attention she received, while feeling like she didn't appreciate it as much as I would have, although I didn't deserve it. I took it out on her. She ended up hating most days we worked together, and even after expressing her concerns and me apologizing, promising to be better, I wasn't really much better up until I quit. For other reasons. The other thing was she had gotten a really bad yeast infection that caused her tremendous pain and anguish. The doctor suspected herpes, which she also jumped immediately to the conclusion of. I knew there was no way she had herpes because I didn't have it or give it to her, and she had only ever been with me. I was hurt by the accusation, and I ended up becoming distant for a couple days. She reached out to me and said she wanted me with her, but I ignored her request. Now, fast forward again to a week ago. She broke up with me suddenly, with a list of reasons. A big one being, since we were temporary, she'd rather end it now rather than later, to save us both hurting more. She also included how she felt she put more effort into us than I did, which is true and I could give many more examples of, and she knew I wasn't the one for her. My world came crashing down. We talked the next couple of days, crying and heartbroken. I had went over to comfort her at partially her own request, but mine as well. After talking about many other aspects of our relationship, she reconsidered, and we are now currently together for the time being, at least until she graduates in May, but probably not long after. Just earlier tonight, she shared a bit more insight as to the whole herpes situation. How when she was in pain and needed me, I wasn't there for her. How every time something bad happens between us, I'm usually just feeling guilty and apologizing while she has to reassure me that we're okay. How the guy that she wants to marry isn't me because she doesn't want someone to make these mistakes, then try to fix them or make up for them later. I told her I was going to change. Not to keep her from leaving me, but for myself, of course. So I don't have this problem in the future. And I meant it. I know I need therapy. And as soon as my financial situation allows me to, I plan on seeking it, to start to work on all my problems, including the ones I've had with her. I realize now why I'm not meant to change her mind and have her choose me over someone better for her. I know I don't deserve her. I am asking for advice on things I can do to truly start to change, and maybe someone could share a similar experience to shed some light this situation. Also, of course, I couldn't dump the entirety of the past year in one Reddit post, so I'll be answering questions thoroughly to give better perspective. Any good advice, words of encouragement, or criticism are appreciated. Story 13. Am I justified in asking my girlfriend what she was doing last night? So my girlfriend and I are in ALDR and have been for nearly 3 months, with us having to do another 3 months before going back home to the UK, due to my career commitments bringing me to the US for a total of 6 months, but dating a total of 7 months so far. We've not had the easiest time at the moment, and the trust between both of us has broken down a little, I must admit. She was on a night out tonight with her work colleagues, as she does every first Tuesday of the month, so I wasn't really bothered. I then checked her location, and she was in a totally different town to where she was earlier on in the evening, at a random address that I didn't recognize, and we had barely chatted throughout the entire day. Literally 2 texts in 14 hours, as we'd had an argument on FaceTime the day before, and she hadn't told me that was planning on going to an after party or even on her way to an after party. My mind went racing, and I ended up asking her if she was at a friend's place or if she had met someone during the night and was round theirs. I know that was probably the wrong thing to ask, and she said she was just at an after party. Am I justified for asking her, as my mind was racing, or do you think, based on the context of the evening, that it was the right thing to get clarity there and then? She's planning on coming and visiting me in a couple of weeks, and I'm very much looking forward to it so we can speak about issues face to face finally and spend some quality time with each other. Story 14. I feel numb in my relationship. I'm not even sure what I'm feeling right now. My boyfriend, 22M, and I, 22F, have been in a relationship for just over a year now. I can't lie, it's been rocky from the start. We were seeing each other on and off for a few years. Unofficially, I even tried to move on and was in a different relationship. But once that ended, my boyfriend came back and asked for another chance. We have a pretty tumultuous relationship. We are constantly arguing over small things, and he's the only person that can get me riled up the way he does. Usually the arguments start with him saying/doing something that hurts my feelings or makes me feel misunderstood. When I bring this up, it turns into an argument because he thinks it's unfair. Our last argument happened because I've been trying to sit down and plan a little Valentine's trip with him. Last year, I really wanted to go to a little cottage in the woods, so I just ended up booking it because I found one that was cheap and we had a great time. Anyway, he suggested we do something different this year, but every time I asked to plan it out, He kept putting it off, saying he was too tired. We'll figure it out later. Now it's a week away, and I'm unable to book it off work on such short notice. He eventually ended up calling me, saying that he thinks I should plan it since I did it last year. It made me absolutely furious and so hurt. I know a lot of girls that would expect the guy to plan out the whole thing, A&D, pay for it all. I felt like he wasn't enthusiastic at all for these plans, or he would have been more on top of them. I also was hurt because I just want to feel special and like he's still pursuing me in a sense. I know it's kind of silly. Usually I don't believe in gender roles, but I just want a little traditional romance on Valentine's Day. You know? We ended up getting in a huge fight about it. He said something like he was just asking and felt like it was unfair that I got so angry with him about it. We ended up agreeing that the whole fight was stupid and that we love each other and to just move on. But I can't shake this feeling of disappointment. I usually care so much about everything, and he's been sweet again, but I just feel disassociated and numb now. I don't care about anything right now. I just feel like I keep getting disappointed. He used to tell me that I was his dream girl, but it sure doesn't feel like it. At this rate, I'm not sure how much more of this kind of thing I can take. I don't know how to move past it. I want to. So bad. Like, I love this boy more than I've loved anyone ever. I'm already going to therapy myself. I have BPD, so I know that might be part of it, but IDK, I just need some wisdom. Story 15. Relationship feels very one-sided and kinda shitty. Alright, so me, 21M, and my girlfriend, F19, of 5 months have had a great relationship, but like, dude, lately shit's been very like shitty. Like, there's been nothing like huge, like a big fight, but like, we had an argument about how I was talking to a girl before this relationship who I really clicked with on music, and she said it hurt her, so I was like, okay, sorry, but then she said, that's like me telling you me and her classmate who likes her really clicked on cars. Like, bro, I didn't even mean to hurt you with what I said, but like, you just did that with intention to me, and I only talked to this girl like in DMS, and she sees this guy like every day at college and shit, and like, yeah, so that's part one. And now the recent thing is that I like rap music and she likes Taylor Swift. I know the sentence is weird, but see what went down is like, I talked to her about my fab artists and songs I really love, RN, and she was like, oh, that's cool. And then she like made fun of my 2 favorite artists like with her friend, and she told me about that, and I was like, oh, that's fine, whatevs, baby. But like, one of her friends sent me a reel about the weekend, and we talked ABIUT that, and then he said, oh, bro, girlfriend name, said, my fab artists, was so bad that her ears bled and had to listen to The Weeknd to fix them. Like, what the fuck? I don't even want to talk to her about like my interests anymore. It's just fucked. I hate it. I am so sad. I love her so much, but this, I fucking hate. Like, ugh. Please, guys, someone fucking advise me on what to do. I am so lost in this shit. Story 16. Friend is a chronic cheater. I've 22FF, been friends with this girl, 21F, for almost a year, and we're currently in university. She has BPD, which might explain some of this situation. A lot in our friendship has been good. We have both been there for each other during some hard times. But there has also been some issues. I'm kind of introverted, and when we go out, she, super extroverted, becomes just inconsiderate and generally rude sometimes. Overall, she's just way too much. We are in the same friend group with her ex. Everything in this friend group revolves around her and her ex. Her ex is a crazy narcissist who has huge mood swings and is overall just not a great guy. She's currently studying abroad and dating another guy who doesn't go to our college. The crazy thing is that her ex is going to visit her in Costa Rica over spring break. She didn't tell me until a few days ago, even though I found out a few weeks ago. Her excuse was that we haven't been talking lately, when she wouldn't even respond to my messages when I triple text. Her and this ex are overly close and touchy. She naps in his bed, and while she's abroad, they're FaceTiming every night and even watching a TV series together. Recently, she told him that she loves him more than her BF, and she wants to have sex with him again. I heard all of from another friend. The crazy part is, I'm not even sure the boyfriend knows the extent to their friendship. She says that she doesn't think that red flags in relationships necessarily show that her behavior in a friendship is red flag worthy. But I'm not sure. Do I say anything to her about her behavior? Or just wait till things kind of fade away with our friendship? I'm not really into being friends with someone who is untrustworthy and overall just disrespectful with no morals. Story 17. My BF in Discord. My boyfriend, M22, and I, F22, have been living together for 6 months and have been in a relationship for 2+ years. Recently, I feel I have been growing resentment towards him because I get so irritated with his behavior, particularly his time in Discord and gaming. All of his friends live in different states, so he often talks to them in Discord while playing video games. Normally this didn't bother me, but now living together, it has really started to annoy me. He works full-time and only has 2 days off, so I understand him wanting to talk to his friends and game on his day off. off, but I also feel like it's getting kind of ridiculous. I have tried to bring up how much he games and talks in Discord before, and he claimed he doesn't play that much, and that when he gets off work or has his days off, he wants to spend time gaming because he works so much. I feel like he's trying to guilt me, but I am also trying to see it through his perspective. I understand it's his hobby, but I can't understand how he doesn't think it's weird laying next to me in bed while simultaneously being in Discord talking to his friends with headphones on. I like having alone time/phone time sometimes, but I feel like I can't even enjoy BC. He will be talking loudly in Discord right next to me. There have been occurrences when I am talking to him and he's wearing headphones, so I think he's watching TikTok or listening to music, and come to find out his friend has been sitting in the Discord call in the background the entire time I have been speaking. Whoever is on the call can hear me, so it feels like intrusive to be talking to him. To find out his friends are just listening in the background. There have been instances where we got into arguments and he is still wearing headphones with his friends in Discord in the background. There are numerous reasons why I haven't brought it up again or really said anything, but now I can just feel my resentment growing and I get snippy. I have been losing hours at my job and can't really afford to contribute my share of the rent, so he has been spending more. He works a lot of the time and only has a few hours at home and will game most of the time. I feel bad that he is paying more because I can't pitch in and he is working long hours, so I just kind of let him have his game time, but really I am just bothered every time he is in a call. I don't really have anywhere to go because I have no friends in the area and we live in a studio, so I can't go to another room. Am I being unreasonable for wanting him not to be on a call and gaming so much when he works so much? At his job, he does get some opportunities to sit in the back, and he tells me he will just normally watch his other friends game on Discord, so he's getting time during work to do that too. So I feel like I have a valid complaint. How do I approach the situation and ask him to reduce gaming without being overly controlling? Hooked on the drama? Subscribe now for more juicy relationship stories. Story 18. Secret relationship. Need advice. Hey everyone, I need help. 23F, me, and 22M, my boyfriend. We've been together for 6 years as of tomorrow, and I'm incredibly depressed. We have been best friends for 7 years and have been through a lot together, but because his family doesn't like me, he pretended we broke up and has kept me a secret for 5 years now. We get to text a few minutes a day and talk on the phone maybe an hour a week. We see each other once or twice every few months despite only living 2 hours away from each other. I love him, but the longer this distance goes on, the harder it has been emotionally. I don't like barely getting to talk to him and hate being a secret. He lives with his family right now and has for 2 years while looking for a job. The job application process for new grads. My family knows, but we barely get to interact because of his. I've considered breaking up, but I have schizoaffective disorder and autism, so dating would be a nightmare. We are each other's first people we've dated. What should I do? I'm so lost. Story 19. My boyfriend prioritizes his parents over my family. My boyfriend, 28M, and I, 26F, have a 3-month-old baby boy. We have been together for 4 years now and was supposed to get married the month I was due to give birth. However, I went into labor on our wedding day, so it got postponed. Through the course of my pregnancy, I just knew and felt that we were not the top of his priority. Or rather, I am not the top of his priority. I assumed that we were already a family and that he should put us before his parents and siblings. Yes, he provides for the needs of our son, but when I need something, I need to practically beg for it. He is very frugal. I'm currently a housewife and am not yet working. I just graduated med school while I was pregnant and am currently studying to get my license so that I can work as a doctor. During these months, I have no money or other source of income. He, on the other hand, is earning a lot since he is in real estate. I asked him for an allowance, and he said no. He said I should just ask for the exact amount of money I need for whatever I'm buying. It means I should run by him whatever I will be buying for myself. By the way, we live at my parents' house, so we are rent-free. Food and water is also free. Heck, my dad even cooks and cleans for us. For his parents, that's a different story. He provides for them food, bills, and medical fees. His parents don't work either, and out of the 3 siblings, he is the one that makes the most. Whenever we bring our son over, they also take care of him in ways I don't approve of, like watching TV. My boyfriend's dad is a loyalist of a certain politician and would often teach my 3-month-old son chants of the name of that politician, which is very inappropriate considering they know that I am a supporter of the opposing party. Bottom line, I don't want them teaching my son their values, because that is my son. They can teach their children whatever they want, but they shouldn't cross the line to influencing their grandson. My boyfriend just laughs it off and says that my son is too young to understand that anyway. How should I approach this? Am I overreacting? Am I just angry that he's not providing for me? Story 20. Should I quit my job? Hi, I am 26F, and I have been living with my BF 29M for 3 years. Nice. I work in TV as an edit assistant, and I have always wanted to work in the industry and made certain sacrifices for it. I have bachelor's degree in law, but I didn't want to pursue that career, and even though TV is unstable, I still went for it. I have progressed at the company I work in. I started as a runner, and now I'm an edit assistant, so I get credit on the shows we make for Netflix, Sky, etc. There were times when I was disappointed with how slowly I was progressing, but I really feel like I am getting somewhere. Plus, there is no work in the industry ATM, so I feel lucky to have something relatively stable. There are a lot of brilliant people out of work, so I would not be comfortable just quitting my job. My BF really wants me to get a job elsewhere. He works from home while I work from the office. I know I wouldn't be able to WFH as it would just drive me insane. I need to be around people, and part of working in TV is meeting a lot of people, either colleagues or experts we interview. The fact that I work at this company means we are tied to a certain location, which is quite a small touristy town. My BF wants us to move to a bigger town but not London, and actively encourages me to look for something else. I have been looking, but most places feel like a step back rather than forward. My parents recently sold my old car. They are in a different country, and now I have the money to buy a new one. My BF suggested quitting the job and living off that money until I find a new job. I don't feel comfortable doing that for several reasons. I can't sit at home looking for a job knowing I just quit something that was working for me and that I could be getting more credits/experience in the meantime. And while my BF has offered to pay for both of us, if I still don't have a job, I don't want to depend on him. I also fear that he will eventually make me accept a job that doesn't align with my career ambitions, like SMM, or managing a YouTube channel. I hate the idea of working on social media. It seems like a huge step back after working on actual documentaries. His friends live in a town about 20-minute drive away, and his brother is in a town about 30-minute drive away. His friends told me that yes, we really need to move as there is nothing to do in a town where we live. I don't really see what the big problem is. It has dozens of pubs, a tennis club, restaurants, cafes, and a big city is about 40 minutes away on the train if you really wanted to go on a night out. I fear that my relationship will end, but I don't want to sacrifice my career. I love my job, and it makes me happy and fulfilled. 5 years ago, I couldn't dream of being where I am now, and the thought of having to throw that away makes me want to cry. His friends seem critical of my job but watch all the shows we make, and while I don't want to seem vain, but I do take pleasure in seeing my name on Netflix. My BF feels like it will be better for our relationship to move away. When he wished me Happy New Year, he said he hopes we'll be happier in the next year in a new town with a new job. What should I do? Story 21. My girlfriend seems to be mad at me for any mistake I do. My girlfriend seems to be mad at me for any mistake I do. We've together for 4 months already. She, 20, and I, 24, meet in an at-a-date app. It's my first relationship in 5 years, and if the begging was great now, I see that we may not be compatible. At the beginning, we understood each other and respect each other, communication was great, and I realized that I was happy with her. We did have discussions, but in a good way, nothing of ugly silent moments or boring and kind of aggressive tones of voice of their part. As well, the way she writes is different, more cold when I do certain things. Now, what are those things? Well, sometimes I'm taking to her, and I forget some things I ask her because my memory isn't that great. I'm genuinely like to hear what she has to share, and because of that, I ask to be sure of what I'm hearing. I do as well try to share some of my experiences, and then I let her continue. She apparently doesn't like this. Actually, she says that I'm manspreading her, and she says that I don't care to what she has to say. I recognize that I could this unintentionally, and I would try to pay attention and not minimize in any why what she says. Now it seems it doesn't work. When I talk to her, I feel I'm walking in minefield, carefully paying attention and trying not to say anything that may put her in bad mood. But even when I try to do this, she seems angry and boring of me. I'm not perfect, and I'm gonna mess up more times. I always try to talk thing and not get angry or carry out by my emotions, but she says that I do this because I don't care about her, and she is not that important to me. I don't know what to do. I feel I have no enough experience. She makes me feel less, makes me feel like I do most of things wrong. Because of this, I'm ashamed to feel like I'm losing interest in her. What should I do? Or how can I improve? If you need more details, let me know. Story 22. Girlfriend of almost a year is sending confusing signs. Me, 23M, been seeing this girl 24F for almost a year. The year mark is next week. She was recently on a trip to go see her friends. We had a bit of an altercation. We talked it out, and she went on her trip. She didn't talk to me much when she was on the trip. She wanted space. She came back after the trip and then told me that she doesn't love me the same as she used to. After all that happened, I picked her up at the train station. We went back to her place. I stayed the night, had to leave early in the morning for work. She brought me in for a hug, and she kissed my neck, and she said she loved me, and hope that work goes well. Not even 3 hours after she sent me a text saying that we should be done. Biddle. Later on in the day, I walked her to the bus stop just to chat, and then she turned to me and she said, "I will see you later." Okay. And then I decided not to text her for the whole day, and she still texted me, "Good night." But she hasn't texted me once today, and I'm just confused. I don't know if she loves me or not. I really want things to work out, but I'm confused. How can I possibly revive this? Story 23. My boyfriend and I don't always value humor the same. My boyfriend, 32M, and I, 24F, have been together for about 4 years. One of them we were broken up as I had moved abroad. We've been doing long distance for the other 2 years. Sometimes our senses of humor just don't always jive. It's a lot better than it used to be as we've spent more time with each other, developed more inside jokes, etc. And it's not really something I notice in person, but over the phone, which is most of our relationship as we're currently still LD, sometimes it makes me sad when he doesn't get my joke or isn't in as silly of a mood as I am. Humor has always been a major value for me, and for him it's something he appreciates but just isn't a top priority. My boyfriend is incredibly supportive, intelligent, calm, caring, and he's a huge acts of service guy and is always making sure I'm taken care of even from a distance. When I have him by my side, metaphorically, I really feel like I can achieve anything. Is this something that can be improved on? We've talked about it before, and he says he's willing to try to be better, but I think it's frustrating both of us that it still occasionally bothers me. Should I just listen to these moments and take that as my answer, or trust that time and finally being together in person again can allow room for growth in this area? Story 24. Compatibility. F26 and M26. Hey there. So me, F26, and my boyfriend, M26, have been together for 8 years. This year will be 9 years. Known him since middle school, though we didn't go to the same high school but kept in touch, rekindled after high school and got together. So he's my first everything. So I pretty much known him for 13 to 14 years. For as long as I can remember, we've had problems in our relationship with trust and communication, but have learned to grow and move past these mistakes to love each other better. Our love was pure and fresh, until our history ran into some trauma I've been through, like me finding dating apps on his phone and making private accounts to chat to girls. At first I panicked and was very confused and addressed it, and eventually he apologized and promised never to make me feel like that again. I felt off ever since, but he proved to grow and we were fine. I was toxic too. I never felt comfortable making moves or would sometimes have avoidant tendencies, but never ignored the emotional connection for both of us and his needs. We would go on dates, and I would make an extra effort to make him feel special and loved emotionally, give him compliments, have fun together. Until recently, I've been so focused on school for nursing and work, I found him using apps again and even asking for more on Reddit. I went through his phone. I know this is a brink of trust, but I had a bad gut feeling. The crazy part is, before I was going to confront him about me finding this information, someone on Instagram who followed me messaged me randomly. I was already following her too, and she told me he was messaging her, and she knows it's him because he sent her pictures of himself, and she recognized his face from whenever I post him on Instagram. She said her and her roommates were talking about him after too. I am truly heartbroken. So I confronted him about it, and we had an argument about our relationship, how he never gets passion from me, and I always find these apps on his phone and how he's been trying to cheat on me. So I really looked at myself in the mirror, figuratively, and deleted social media to focus on us, and told him I was sorry about neglecting his needs, and he apologized and said he was truly sorry for making me feel like this, for hurting a truthful soul like myself, and he suggested that we may not work for each other's lives right now, that he doesn't want to hurt me anymore. I cried so much, because instead of trying to fixing our problems this time, he suggested this. At the same day he said this, I found out he's been talking to this one girl at his new job who's his coworker, and he was going to hang out with her that day. I felt so vulnerable, and given all my feelings out to him, we decided that we were going to be okay, and he left while I drove around to listen to music and take my mind off him. I did drop him off because he said it was going to be him, his other coworker who's a dude, and the girl coworker. I felt happy for him. He's hadn't had friends like this in a while, so I was okay. He came home at a decent time, and I felt better, but he wasn't himself. He even said he came home earlier than he thought, and now he didn't show any feelings to me. I kept asking what was wrong, but he just said he was tired. That night I broke trust and went through his phone. I saw messages between them, where he was meeting only her at the spot I dropped him off at, and he even told her about our relationship. I felt super betrayed that he told her about our problems, and he's only started working at this new job for 4 months. I also have never met her, Am I crazy? I went a little deeper and found out that he complimented her ears by saying they're tiny, after she suggested he'd go and accompany her to get them pierced. The last text I read was her saying she'll be there for another listening session if he needs it, and I remember coming home that day and seeing a car parked outside our house. We live together with his family. They all know us very well. When I asked him more about his coworker, he seemed reluctant to tell me about her, and I think that's obviously because she's a girl, and even he think I might have felt weird. And he even told me he told her about our relationship, to which I addressed that it wasn't right to share our information to this person. He agreed, and that day we talked a lot about our feelings and made a list about needs from both of us. And we have felt healthier. We talked all day about our history and had sex with passion. We've been having sex more. I'm holding his hand more, kissing him, because I feel electric. And we even say we love each other very much. I felt weird 2 days ago because he said he was glad he met her and wanted to try and hang out with his girl coworker at least once a week. And, if I'm being honest, made me uncomfortable. And to add, the thought of me asking when we'll get married reminds him of our passion, and he looks distrusted. I feel like I can't express my feelings without him feeling bad. I am so miserable, and I can't talk to anyone about this because I don't want to ruin his reputation, and I care about him so much. Sad face. What can I do? Please be honest, and any helpful advice is appreciated. Thanks for reading my feelings. Story 25. My boyfriend constantly complains about his job. My BF 26M and I 25F have been together for about 2 years now, and we see each other once a week but talk on the phone every day. He goes into work a little earlier than I do, and I get out a little later than him, so he calls me on his way into work in the morning, and I call him on my way home at night. For a couple months now, any phone conversation is him complaining about his job. I don't mind listening, but when I ever complain about my job, he just gets quiet, and I can hear him playing on his phone as I'm just on speaker. We both work physically tolling jobs. He's a contractor, and I'm a mechanic. In the morning when he calls, it's always complaining about either traffic going into work or that his boss did this or that, or the kid he works with is doing this, like, "Okay, how'd you sleep?" LMAO. At night lately, I stopped asking, "How was work?" But he still finds a way to quickly start talking about his day. He'll ask me, "How was work?" I'll say, "It was okay." And he'll just start going on about his day and how awful it was. I understand wanting to vent about it, but I just don't understand that being the only thing you ever want to talk to your girlfriend about when you only see her once a week. It's also got to be a very stressful life to literally be incapable of keeping work at work. I just don't even know how to talk to him about it because I know him too well and know he'll just be a turd and say something like, "I thought you'd want to hear about my day. I'm sorry you don't care about how my day went." That's not it. I just don't care to hear about the kid you work with messing up a cut and you going on about it for 10 minutes, and he gets so passionate about it he makes me feel like I'm the one who messed up the cut while he's telling me these things sometimes. Even in person he talks about it quite a bit. He won't leave his job no matter what, so it's not even like that's something to talk to him about. Story 26. I feel ashamed for trying to save my marriage and not sure if it's worth saving. Throwaway account. I, F40+, have been married to my husband, M40+, for 14 years, together 18. Been rocky for a good part of it, as we were running a challenging business together, and frequently butted heads then. I love my husband, and have kept hope that things will be okay, as couples all go through rough patches. When things are fine, he's a decent man who does things for me and with me. We have fun together, and it's great. Well, through some of our worst rough patches, he's cheated on me a few times, definitely emotionally, possibly physically, has gotten into physical fights with me, though I fought back, when he was very angry and also when he got drunk, and has several times told me he wanted to divorce me when our fights got really heated. Despite all that, we kinda worked through it and survived it, but I do know it's always me trying to initiate fixing and working things through, and him coming around. We apologize to each other at the end of it, but we do eventually fight again. And sure, some things have improved, but I also feel like he goes back on things that he was previously remorseful for. Our most recent fight has me out of sorts. We had an agreement between us that he's only drinking occasionally with me, and just one beer, due to the aforementioned violent alcoholism. Well, he didn't tell me when he had a beer with a family member at a social occasion. When I found out and was angry about him not being transparent, he countered that I was creating drama over 1F** times beer, and not letting it go late into the night even though I knew he needed rest because he had important stuff at work the next day. that he should be able to drink with family, and got mad when I was trying to point out we agreed to something and it's about him not honoring it. He is right now actively denying it and basically going back on everything we agreed to, insisting that the problem is me and my desire to create issues and drag up the past to fulfill a personal need for drama. Added to that, I had suspicions that he might be cheating again due to his recent reconnection with an old female friend, which was how many of his previous affairs started. I brought that up and he got angrier because he said I was reading into things. It's very possible that I am extra wary about potential red flags because of previous patterns. I need to be honest that I've done a lot to hurt him and overstep his boundaries over the years, including repeated offenses for things he's asked me not to do and told me it is disrespectful to him and his boundaries. I understand this makes him angry at me and maybe fuels his dishonestly. But at the same time, I feel like he's done a lot of worse things to me than I have to him. I've at least never cheated. I don't lie to him. And I am trying to curb my shitty habits that are hurtful to him, though I fail a lot, and this frustrates him. I feel pretty miserable after trying yet again to talk to him, to both de-escalate and address the recent issue. I feel I have so little self-respect left, as I can't stand up for myself. I feel like I've been chasing him every time we have a fight. I hate myself for it. But at the same time, when I think of the good times and how much we've been through together, I don't want to give up. Am I just pathetic, or is there something to save? 27. My BF keeps saving girls' selfies on Snapchat. So my BFM 18 and me F19 have been together for almost a year, and we are quite healthy, I'd say. But my biggest problem is he's really friendly with girls, and of course that makes me happy he has friends. And I honestly don't care that he's friends with girls or anything. I am not toxic. But these girls he's friends with, he tells me there's nothing to worry about, but then saves selfies of them on Snapchat all the time. He was doing it before we were together, which obviously isn't my problem. I don't care about that. It's just the fact he's still doing it. They aren't like nudes or anything explicit, but it's like he's saving selfies where they look cute, or ones where they've just woke up and stuff, they aren't even funny selfies or anything. So I am just confused why he needs to save them, TBH. Does he go back on the chats and look at them? And it makes me really uncomfortable, and I am not pretty enough for him. Is it wrong that I am so worried about this, and how should I approach this? Smiley face. Story 28. Is it okay to ask for more reassurance? I, 30 male, been dating my girlfriend, 30, for 2 months, and things are great. We go on dates in the middle of the week for dinner and hang out at each other's places on the weekends. We love each other and have a good emotional and physical relationship. No, I am the usually initiating the conversation or when to go out. I feel like that's normal for the guy to initiate things early on in a relationship. She enjoys my texts and my calls during the week to say hi. I wish she would send me a good morning text first versus me doing it all the time or me setting up dates. I want to talk to her about it and don't want to play games. There are some other things I wish she would do. Show her she appreciates me or gives me affirmation, i.e. changing her phone screen a picture of us like I did, or saying I love you first. She does say I love you back, but I feel sometimes she just says it back because I say, but she says she really does. Unsure why I don't trust her on what she says or current affirmation for her love for me. I am asking too much for her to give me more reassurance or reaching out first some days. Story 29. How to end a toxic friendship with sister-in-law without causing a family divide. Again, my Sil, 32, my husband's brother's wife, and I, 26, became pretty close friends about 5 years ago. Everything was great for a while until we took a trip together, and when we got into a little argument, her toxic behaviors came running in. She expressed how it made her angry if I hung out with any of my friends. She screamed in my face, accused me of talking bad about her anytime I would be texting/talking to someone on the phone, so on and so forth. Then she locked herself in the bathroom for an hour, and when she came out, she said she's going to sleep in her car. I came clean and told her how toxic her behavior was and that I'm not going to deal with that. Practically, that trip ended with me taking a flight home alone and ending our friendship. She immediately told my whole husband's side of the family a completely different story and how I abandoned her there because I missed my husband. Long story short, creating a divide within the family and breaking my mother-in-law's heart because her only 2 sons weren't together for any family gatherings, because she refused to be anywhere if I was going to be there. Now, fast forward to about 2 years later, she invited me to have a civil conversation about the situation and to clear the air. The conversation was great, and she had apologized for her behaviors, as did I, and admitted that she had very toxic tendencies when it came to her friends. She told me she had been in therapy and back on her medication for BPD, and that she is no longer that person. Although slightly skeptical, I chose to believe her word but still leave a healthy distance. She was okay for a while, but in the past year she has just gotten worse and worse. She is copying my every move, becoming jealous and angry if I have plans with other friends, messaging my friends trying to hang out with them, becoming possessive over my kids, talking bad about me to others in the family, and most recently making innuendo posts or reposts about me on all her social media and stories. To ensure I see them, I am at the point now where I mentally cannot handle the negativity and toxicity from this friendship and need to find a way out of this friendship without making her freak out and inevitably creating a divide within my husband's family. Help. Sincerely, a toddler mom to twins, and my biggest stress every day is my SIL. Story 30. A productive member of the relationship. 1, 27F, and my BF 27M have been together for 6 months and just moved in together. Prior to moving in, he took a 2-month leave from work to get his affairs in order for the move. We moved in together in January. He now has taken another extended leave from work and now wants to quit his job, which is understandable. He's a social worker and it's hard. My frustration comes from the fact that while he is home, he sleeps and games all day. And if I ask him to clean up / get groceries / run an errand for the house, he will wait until after I've come home to do it. And then he will ask me a million questions that makes me feel like I was the one who mentally completed the task and he was just the hands that made things move. I am a single mother, my child is not his, and I work full-time, and I am a full-time student. I try hard to not ask him to help me with my kid, but I feel like if you are home all day, the least you could do is house chores so that when I finish work, school, and parenting, I'm not left washing dishes until 1 a.m. When asked why he waits until I get home to handle his business, his response is almost always, "I was sleeping." Mind you, I call this man every day on my lunch and watch him play his Switch for an hour while we talk, so he's not asleep all day. How do I bring this up and remain empathetic? He's a good man, is open to talking things out, doesn't want to leave, but I don't feel like he really pulls his weight unless Mill become nagging mother, and I already have one kid, really don't want to have to raise someone else's. Story 31, F32. How do I support my M25 partner through his mental health struggles when he keeps pushing me away? Hi Reddit. I've been with my boyfriend, M25, for a year and a half, and I love him deeply, but his mental health has been declining, and I don't know how to help him, or if I even can. I'm hoping for advice from people who've been in similar situations. He's struggling with what seems to be severe depression. He says he feels numb, that nothing brings him joy, and that he doesn't see the point in things. His mood swings are extreme. Sometimes he's loving and affectionate, and other times he's cold, distant, or outright cruel. He has these moments of being happy and engaged, but then, suddenly, he'll completely shut down and push me away. He tells me he loves me, but that he can't meet my needs because he's mentally unwell. He isolates himself and doesn't put effort into the relationship, but at the same time, he gets upset if I pull away. He's tried to break up with me multiple times, but then he'll have a change of heart and pull me back in. It's like he can't decide what he wants. One moment he's telling me I deserve better and should find someone else, and the next, he's showing me glimpses of the person I fell in love with. It's exhausting and heartbreaking because I know this isn't really him, it's the mental illness talking. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. I don't want to give up on him. I know he's struggling, but I also don't know how much more I can take. He refuses therapy and doesn't think anything will help. I've tried to be patient, understanding, and supportive, but I feel like I'm just a punching bag for his emotions. I've always been there for him, but it feels like the more I try, the more he resents me for it. For anyone who's been in a similar situation, how do you support someone through something like this without completely losing yourself in the process? And at what point do you accept that love isn't enough if the other person isn't willing to work on themselves? I'm struggling to know what the right thing to do is. I'm not even sure we are together right now after our argument last night.